Startup Odisha, in association with Carve Startup Labs, is presenting you its last but not the least, the 15th webinar in the series of Startup Odisha Webinar Series 2020. For this great initiative, I would like to thank Mr. Prashant Biswal, Mr. Rashmi Ranjan Sahu, Mr. Saurav Ranjan Sahu, and I would extend my gratitude to the whole team of Startup Odisha, Govt of Odisha. I would thank Mr. Vishnu Nagaraj for taking up this great initiative along with the whole team of CSL. Now it's time to introduce you all to our mentor for today's webinar session. It's an absolute honor for me to introduce Kritika Murugesan. She is currently the director of NASSCOM 10,000 Startup Program. She oversees the operation of NASSCOM startup warehouses across the country and leads program nationally to help and grow startups. She also works closely with various state governments to build the ecosystem for tech entrepreneurs. She currently recognizes women making positive contributions and advises organizations on how to improve performance by building more inclusive teams. So, ma'am, we welcome you all. Welcome to this webinar session. And I would request you to take over the session for the further proceedings and enlighten our attendees with your knowledge and experience and speak on the topic, the future for startups post-COVID-19.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you for having me on this webinar, and it's a privilege to be here and share my little experiences and my thought process. I'd like to make this a little more interactive, and after a note of about 5-7 minutes, let's just take more questions, and I'm happy to try and answer questions to the best of my capability. Before I start any of these sessions, I always like to firstly, say that, with everything that is happening around, it is difficult times. And, I do like to say my thanks to the government and the police and the health workers. And I think all of us should appreciate that and take note of that and be thankful every single day of our life for everything that they have put together. I'd really like to say this before I start off any program that I do. So if you really look at it, I'm not going to paint a picture that is, all rosy and everything is going to be all right. And, there's nothing to worry about, things will get better eventually, but it is difficult times and we have to work and prepare well for that, right? If you see the affected areas in terms of, cash flow, in terms of business, in terms of layoffs, that is a reality and we cannot run away from some of those things. But how do we turn around these things in the coming months, I think is very important from a whole startup perspective. If you look at the scenario currently right now, right, you will see some sectors of, the industry in terms of even the startups doing, it's worked well for them. There are specific areas that, whether it is, some parts of, SaaS, fintech, some of these areas, startups in these areas, it is a good time for them. But if you take in terms of, logistics, if you take travel and tourism, I think it's a very difficult phase. So I think the whole idea is, post this whole COVID, of course, it's going to take us, 7, 8, 9 months to come back to normal, come back to a point where things become normal and for businesses to pick up. So if you really see in the current scenario, I think the focus really has to be, how do we build this whole business continuity, right? And focusing on that business continuity is what is going to turn things around for us in the next 8, 9, 10 months, right? So you will see a lot of benefits coming in from the state and center government, which is helpful for the startups, to kind of keep their business running. Understanding of different markets and what is happening is very critical, for startups to to understand which markets are recovering faster. I'm not just talking about, domestically, but internationally as well is kind of very key. The other factor that is very encouraging for us overall is, the whole corporate sector and their support that is coming in. While even there is a little bit of what should I say, not complete clarity in how they will engage with startups and all of that. But most corporates that we are working with, it has been a very, very encouraging sign for us that most corporates continue to work with us on our NASSCOM Industry Partnership Program, where we connect startups to large corporations. And we see that there is more than ever that much continuity and that much keenness to support startups and keep that going. The third part I'd like to touch upon is, the VC community. And you will see the VC community being very, very conservative in their approach and how they're going to, invest going further. The questions will be more, money disbursement will be lesser, right? And we do have to prep for that in the coming next, 8 to 10 months. So, while we see, I think for startups, it's very, very important that, the startups stay focused in what their business solutions are, stay with the customer as much as possible, over communicate to the customer if need be, right? And but it's really important to focus on that whole business continuity per se, right? Like I said, I don't want to, layoffs, salary cuts. Some of these things will be the norm in the next, coming 8 to 10 months. But from a startup perspective, making sure you are in tune with what are some of the, government policies, what are some of the, loans and leeways that you're getting from various sources, being focused on that, being connected to the larger ecosystem is very critical, right? This is where mentors will play a very key role as well, right? So if I have to just kind of summarize and say, from any startup, staying focused, understanding the different markets that you cater to, staying connected with the larger ecosystem, looking at how do you build that whole, continuity for your business and stay focused on that from a whole market access piece, I think is what I would kind of, would kind of want to say. I could go on, but I think, it would be, if there are any questions, I'm happy to take, at this point. But yeah, these are the 3 or 4 critical, pieces to how we are looking at the ecosystem, in the coming months. Yeah, hello, Vishnu, is there any questions?
Yeah, ma'am, fine. Hi, everyone. I request everyone to ask questions to ma'am. So if you have any questions regarding the startups, how NASSCOM gonna help, because it's India's biggest initiative helping startups. So if you want to ask any question related to your startup, please put in the chat and we will moderate and we will ask our mentor to answer it. So any questions related to your startups, any doubts, you can ask in the question.
So one thing I'd like to add here is, you will see a lot of surveys coming from, different governments, different ecosystem players. I would encourage all of you to, do share information, do take those surveys, because it's very critical that we as ecosystem players and government is equipped with enough of this data to plan the right kind of strategies in the coming months, right? So whether it is, leeway on taxes, whether it is, looking at, what are some of the refunds you need to get from the government in terms of GSTs or IT returns, which will keep your, running cash flow running for you guys. It's very important you fill out some of these surveys and not get overly burdened by these surveys. But do take it, because it's very important to, equip key ecosystem players, uh, uh, key ecosystem players. This data is very important for us to help the state governments and ecosystem build the right kind of forward-looking plans. So please do take these surveys is my request on this.
Yeah, ma'am, we have the first question from Kritika. He is the entrepreneur from Odisha. So he's working in hyper-local services. So he's asking how NASSCOM seeing the future of hyper-local services in a state like Odisha and other places. Is it audible, ma'am?
Hello, can you just repeat that?
Yeah, ma'am. The first question is asked by an entrepreneur in Odisha. So he's asking how NASSCOM seeing the future of hyper-local service kind of startups. Like he's working in Odisha, who's doing this kind of hyper-local service, like Urban Club. They're doing such work in Odisha. How NASSCOM is seeing that?
See, anything that has very high contact touch points, right, will be affected in the short run, right? While, let me just, more than from a NASSCOM perspective, right? I think it's very important to look at it from a very ecosystem perspective, right? From an ecosystem perspective, if you look at each of us, right, some of these contact related services will be impacted at least for the next 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
But it will eventually ease out with all precautions with precautions being taken care. You will see that it will change in the next, 4 to 5 months. But as of immediately, there will be impact at this point. So it's really not a NASSCOM view, but I just think it's an overall ecosystem view.
Even we are also a startup. Like I have a question, like how NASSCOM going to help? Because it's a major issues going on. So every startup are struggling, and you are the NASSCOM is the leading from the India. I think they came up with this mission of 10,000 startups and all. So how are you going to help on this startups in this particular COVID scenario? What are the initiatives we can expect from NASSCOM?
Yeah. So thank you for asking that question, Vishnu. So we as NASSCOM have, taken the, if I have to say, we're going to focus on, 3 different buckets, right? And our focus, if you see in everything that we've done in the last 30, 35 days as well, has been, one is talking about building the whole awareness piece, right? And talking about, what are some of the critical pieces that are needed from a whole knowledge perspective and a relearning perspective for startups. So we've done, close to about 30 webinars and Ask Me Anything sessions with different kind of experts on different type of thing. So knowledge bucket is one thing, but I think our primary focus really is on building the whole business community perspective. Right. So if you see, we've already done a series of sessions and working very closely with startups on building the whole market access piece. Right. We've had sessions with, different regions across the country in terms of what is each of these regions looking like and how do we see each of these regions, whether it's Japan, whether it is China, whether it's the US, how is it going to react to this whole startup and startup solution ecosystem from a business continuity perspective? And that is where I will bring in the whole NIPP program as well, where the teams have been working extremely aggressively on, just building, continuing to get pitches done for corporate startups, matchmaking based on use cases, and trying to keep that business going for the startups, right? Pitch sessions, one-on-one connects, shortlisting of startups based on on use cases. I think the teams have been very, very busy, working on this piece. The third piece is, in the next 10 days, you will see that we are starting to open up all our online pitches in terms of, different industries, different ecosystems, and getting startups to start pitching to corporates, start pitching to, VCs, from a whole business continuity perspective. The other thing that we've done is, we have something called a startup kit, where we have different partners who come and give different things at a discounted price, or at a free login kind of a thing. We've actually gone and earlier, this was available only to startups that were incubated with the 10,000 startups. But now we've gone renegotiated with all our partners, which is about 15, 20 partners. And we've opened up these benefits to startups across the country through the NASSCOM Startup Hub, where any startup can come and register. And we've opened up these facilities to all of the startups across the country, not just startups that are incubated by 10,000 startups. The fourth piece, of course, is what we're working very closely with the government in terms of collecting data for them, in terms of making suggestions to them, in terms of fee waivers, in terms of, we've written off all the fees across all our centers for all our incubators and accelerators, and there's no fee for, the startup, no rental fee for the next, March we didn't collect, April and May as well. We will not be taking any rentals. So we've done all these initiatives in the last 45 days. Of course, it feels like a really long time, being locked in for 45 days. But the team has managed to do all of this from NASSCOM, to try and reduce burden of money on the startups, opening up where money is possible, and waiving off and adding on benefits where possible.
Thanks, ma'am. You addressed one more question along with that. One person asked how incubator and accelerator gonna benefit. You already said one feature or service. You're waiving off the rent of all the startups, right? So additionally, any other features or any other resources you are providing to startup from NASSCOM? In the accelerator,
like I mentioned, the startup kit has opened up to all the startups across the country, not just our incubated and accelerated startups, right? Also, any solutions that have, COVID related or further COVID going forward, we have also fast tracked a lot of these solutions with various state and center governments, right? And we've also, looked at startups that have different solutions on employee engagement, from a whole, building awareness, from a whole tracking perspective, which we've made lists and we've shared with our entire network of state government, center government, and the corporates as well. And all our programs are virtual, so all our pitches and everything has gone virtual now. So it's important. That's why I keep saying it's very important to keep track of what the ecosystem is doing, right? Keep track of all these pitches that are happening, write to different players in the ecosystem, right? Not just NASSCOM, but I'm saying, even TIE is doing a lot of work, even CII is doing a lot of work. You guys are doing a lot of work, right? So it's important that they stay in touch, and only then you will see the benefits, right?
So
you will see benefits.
Correct. As you said, you are opening some startup kit, right? So lots of people are not currently, even you are opening this particular startup kit for lots of other startups. How to get that? What is the process to get that? Any
firstly, it's just follow us on Twitter first, right? 1,000 startups at NASSCOM. Follow us on Twitter. We've posted all the information there. We've made it very simple as a process, right? We have the NASSCOM Startup Hub, right? If you follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, you will find a link to log into the NASSCOM Startup Hub. Once you log in there, there's a 5-question form, very basic form of 5-6 questions. The minute you fill that form and put in your requirement, you will get access to these things on the startup kit.
Okay. So there is one more question they're asking. Can you explain about NASSCOM Startup Hub? That is, what are the benefits to be a part of in a NASSCOM Startup Hub?
Sure.
Why? That's the question.
Yeah, the idea of the NASSCOM Startup Hub was to bring the entire ecosystem related to startups. Firstly, bring all the startups in the country to one place.
Okay, that's a hard part.
Yeah, just at least bring it to a place where they can interact with each other, they can have their profiles, right? They can talk about themselves, they're looking for talent, they can post it there. They can look for mentors on this platform, they can look for VCs on this platform, they can use the startup kit on this platform. All the use cases that we get from whether it's corporate center or state government, we post on the startup. Any startup can apply for this. All the challenges that happen, right? There's so many challenges that are happening every day, right? Hackathons, challenges, applications for different kind of programs. So the idea is this portal consolidates all of this. So when you're registered there, it gives you a complete access to all of these information in one place.
Okay. So one question asked by one of our Delhi company. Sorry, yeah, yeah. So what they're asking means, I'm doing business with government, and I think he's doing something related to water kind of stuff. So now government is focusing only on health sector. They're investing on health sector. So what is your advice for the startups who is not into this kind of business, because they're saying that they're essential are luxury kind of stuff. So what is the advice? Now the business, the Indian government is focusing on healthcare like of startup. For this startup, what they have to do now?
What is the startup into?
A startup into like their question is little bit. They mentioned in this way that water feature business or something. Water feature business. What it's like the goal. I think his intention is now he's working with government. It's like a luxury kind of product and musical foundation something. Okay, so they're asking that government is investing more now on health related stuff, health related lots of, because they're into that. So startups who already did the business with the government, so now everything is stuck. Maybe because of luxury products, they may be that one. So now it's they are focusing from the luxury to a necessity, like need, right? So for this startup now they all check. So what is the advice? What are the suggestion you can give?
You just have to wait. They just have to wait.
Yeah.
The government is not going to focus on anything, which is not primarily health, right?
Correct.
It would be silly to want any government to want to spend on anything that is luxury related at this time, when food and health is of primary concern.
Correct. One more question: does NASSCOM will help social startups? Like how they are going to help? Yeah, that's the question. So who are into the impact space? Maybe one is a NASSCOM. How it's going to help this social startup, and what are the other players? Because NASSCOM is connected to all over the global and in India also. What are we can throw some light on that?
Yeah, so we have different programs under the NASSCOM 10,000 Startup Program, but for any support for, so we will focus, we as 10,000 startups, we will focus on startups that are in the tech space, right? So as long as they're in the, even if they're in the social impact space, but are tech related, we will directly support them, right, through our different programs and understanding what they're doing and see what help that they need, right? But if it is non-tech related, we will direct it to the NASSCOM Foundation team, where they also work with startups in the social impact space that are non-tech. Whether if it is tech, we will support them.
Okay. One more question is there. Like, okay. So, ma'am, as you know, like lots of people got stuck. So financially also, say like lots of startups, they maybe the early startup financially also had a lockdown now they are facing. So they're asking in NASSCOM, is there any kind of a support financially? It may be a soft loan kind of thing, maybe interest rates kind of stuff. So because NASSCOM can immediately help them. So any initiative is in your plan or anything is done financially, what kind of support through you or your partner?
Yeah, see, NASSCOM directly cannot give out any funds. We are a not-for-profit organization, right? And we cannot invest in startups, nor can we do a direct funding to startups, right? And this is why I say that it's very important that the startups stay connected with us on the Startup Hub or through our warehouse managers and through our various programs, because we can direct them to where some funds are available and help them with some of those processes. But we as NASSCOM directly, Section 8 company, we cannot invest or give out funds directly.
So can you throw some government grants? Already there are some government grants. Anything in your mind, ma'am? Can you give them the startup, maybe a soft loan or like something, or a grant which they can avail now, maybe during this COVID? Any partner, government loans or grants?
See, there are various schemes that are coming out, right? Like, whether it is even, your leeway on your leeway on your whole EMIs, right? Or,
Yes,
applying for certain personal loans that are being enabled by the by various government banks, right? And there are people like ACT has come together with a fund, which is a compilation of different VCs who have come together, VC firms, to primarily see and support startups. But right now for ACT fund, the grants are all pretty much focused on healthcare only. So right, for the next 30 days, it's very difficult, unless it is completely a very clear-cut, focused agenda to be raising money specifically, right? There are different funds. I just read the other day as well, a group of angel investors have come together to see and value some startups and put some money out on them. So, all this just goes back to saying how people have to stay connected in the ecosystem. And I would say a good place to start is the NASSCOM Startup Hub.
Correct. So, ma'am, you already work with lots of investment agency, angel investors. You also help lots of people to raise funds. Can you throw some lights like regarding how the investment will be happen? Like those who are looking for raising an investment from the investor, what will be the time taking, or whether it will happen this time?
Yeah.
What
So,
will be
Vishnu, this is let's be real about some of these things, right? VC money is going to be slow. Any investment is going to be slow for the next 45 to 60 days, and that is the harsh reality, right? There is nobody knows. Most of us haven't been through a situation like this, right? This is literally like a war-like situation which we have to fight together, right? I can only tell you that much. You will see VC money slowing down in the next 45, 60 days. Everyone's going to be very conservative in the money that they're going to put in the market, right? Till everyone is clear how this is going to at least have some indication. Right now, less than 60 days into this, right? Exactly 45 days into this, 45, 50 days into this. And it's too short a time to kind of predict in the market saying, how is it going to turn out, right? In all good faith, we like to believe that by September, things will ease out, right? And money will come back in the market.
Okay. And yeah, ma'am, we know that NASSCOM is one of the biggest initiative called NIPP, right? NIPP program. Lots of people got benefited. Also, they got global connections during that. Can you throw some, can you explain about that product, ma'am, so people can understand this kind of initiative? NIPP.
So NIPP, which is the NASSCOM Industry Partnership Program, is India's largest open innovation platform, right? So what do we primarily do there? We look at how do we connect startups, right, to large corporates. So corporates basically sign up with us on specific agendas and specific use cases, and then need through this program to identify the right kind of startups to feed into their overall innovation program, right? So a startup will give us, so the corporates will give us use cases. We look for across the country, match those use cases and do some homework on those startups and connect them to the large corporates. That's the program. So the corporates will also have various needs, like, feed into their incubator program, feed into their accelerator program, right? Look at connecting them to, startups, not just from a India market perspective, but also a global market perspective. And then also we help corporates through this program to co-create along with startups on different solutions.
Understood. So now we have a couple of last two questions we will take. First question is they're asking how to connected with Atal Innovation Mission. Can you say something about that initiative, or whether NASSCOM partner with the initiative Atal Innovation Mission?
Like, does a startup want to connect with them, or does a college or an education institute want to connect with them?
They're asking. I think it's a startup. I think. Can you say, ma'am, how startup can connect, how a university can connect? Both from your opinion.
So, Atal Innovation, from what I know, they have an application process. You have to write to apply. If it's a college, they can, to set up an incubation center or an innovation center, they have to apply to the Atal Mission. There is a there is a form on their website which they can fill up and apply, right? For a startup, directly connecting we'll need more details on the startup, and then we can connect to them even as NASSCOM, but we need to know why they want to connect and how they can connect. But otherwise there's a team, and there's this we can connect. They can just go on their website and connect, but it helps if a startup is very specific in why they want to connect. Okay. Because that's also a large team, and if a focused kind of an approach will help.
Okay, so it's something maybe you will be liking this question, ma'am. They're asking like how for the women tech programs, more women entrepreneurs, how NASSCOM, whether NASSCOM have any initiative, and as a person like individual also as a woman leader, what is the advice for the women entrepreneurs? What's the program in NASSCOM and your advice for women entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So, firstly, for women entrepreneurs in our incubators, we have if there are tech women, techs in the tech space, there's a 50% discounted rental fee for women entrepreneurs in all our centers across the country. Okay. That's the first thing. Two, we have tie-ups with various other organizations as well that focus, or like CWE and a couple of others that focus on women entrepreneurs. And so we do a lot of joint programs and all of that. Three, we help connect mentors. Right now, we are in the process of launching a new program dedicatedly for tech women entrepreneurs, right? Where one of my colleagues who's working on that, Rupa, is looking at building this community for women tech entrepreneurs with a very focused agenda on saying, how do I help these women tech entrepreneurs grow from point A to point B in terms of revenue, in terms of business, right? And what are the things that we need to do? We also did a survey recently with a lot of women entrepreneurs, and I think one of the things that came out is, while there are lot of noise around this, right? But to dedicatedly look at specific mentoring programs that will bring them together in a regular basis, and look at helping them grow their business. Right? We always say, right, women are averse to risk taking and all of that. So I think mentorship plays a very large role in growing these women entrepreneurs. And our new program that we are launching will look at, our first batch will look at about 100 tech women startups selected by us, and we will run the program for them for 1 year from a perspective of mentoring and definitely helping them grow their business from point A to point B.
Okay, ma'am, I'm taking the last question. I know like you answered the all. Ma'am, they're asking, there is a startup. They're asking what is the future and growth of ad tech startups, and okay, what are the requirements? How to see the requirements post-COVID? Like, what are the future of ad tech startup, and what are the requirements in the post-COVID?
You mean education? Health.
Not ma'am. Advertisement, marketing, ad tech startups.
Ad tech startups. I
Ad
might
tech.
say,
Yes.
yeah, advertisement related, right? Is what,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
I really don't have an answer for that, honestly, because it's too premature for us to comment on any of these things.
Okay.
My opinion would be that you know uh, maybe advertisement will take a little different form. What they advertise on might change, but I'm really sorry. I will have to come back to you with a specific answer. I'm not. It's not something that I know very well to answer that.
Okay. So then I will ask the last another health related program startup. Ma'am. So they're asking, okay, now lots of startup have a solution related to COVID. Okay. So what are the opportunities there for these startups to work with the government and work with the NASSCOM to build this solution? Current scenario, lots of health tech
Yeah.
startup is there, right? Ma'am?
So,
For that's the last question.
yeah. So see, please do write to us with your solution, because we've been making a list of these health startups, COVID, post COVID, during COVID. We're sharing it across platforms, in with state, center government. We're sharing it with different corporates. So making organizations like ours aware of your solutions is a very key role that you have to play, right? There is opportunity, but it also depends on what your solution is, because I can tell you one thing. There are various task forces that have been formed within the state and center governments, where they're trying to fast track a lot of these healthcare related relevant solutions, not just purely from a covid, but post covid as well, right? So it's really important that you make us aware of what and so that we can reach it to these task forces. And like I previously also said, please do apply for some of these challenges from the government, right? That really helps fast track some of your solutions and bringing it to the forefront.
So thanks a lot, ma'am. We just end up for that Q&A part. So I request Manisha to do the rest procedures.
Thank you, ma'am. Um, Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. So we have Mr. Rashmi Ranjan Sahu, the Senior Mission Associate, Startup Odisha. So I would request Rashmi, sir, to speak a few words on the session.
Thank you, Manisha. Hey, Vishnu.
Hi.
Thanks for the. Hello, madam.
Hi.
I hope you are you are doing well at home, and thanks for joining us for this wonderful session. I think many of our participants, they have questioned a lot, and you have answered the questions very well, and they are finding it suitable and going to use it in proper way. Yeah, definitely, as you said, central government and state government is doing a lot of work and trying to help out the startups during this pandemic situation. Even Startup Odisha is also conducting
Yes.
so many events and competitions, whichever startups they are doing, any kind of solutions into health or other stuffs which is related to fight this situation. So we are trying to help it out. And NASSCOM, we had heard a lot about it when we are having a discussion with your team earlier. So that you have a chapter in Bhubaneswar, right? Mm,
Yes.
yeah. So we are in talk with them that how NASSCOM and startup combined can do something for the startups in the state and help them. Once again, thank you so much for this wonderful session, and
Sure.
in touch for future. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
Last thing.
Thank you, sir. So lastly, thank you, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge, experience with the attendees. This session was really informative for each and every one of us. Women leaders like you, ma'am, are a true inspiration for all the girls out there. I'm sure all our attendees must have got knowledge to channelize the thoughts in right direction post-COVID situation. And lastly, a mere thank you is not enough to express my gratitude to Startup Odisha for this great initiative. We had our best time interacting and engaging with such prolific leaders from all domains of life. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Mr. Vishnu Nagaraj, the founder of Carve Startup Labs, for guiding and helping the team CSL throughout the webinar series. Thank you to our team CSL, Pralipta, Kamal, Shreya, Ashish, Anupa, Nitin, Apita, Ruchita for being the best team and executing this webinar. Until next time, we bid you goodbye with a smile in our face. Thank you all our attendees for attending this session. Thank you, ma'am. This is me, Manisha Monty, signing off. Stay home, stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.